Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 3 of my alternative beginner's guide to a golf swing. What I'm trying to do in this is just basically kind of think a little bit outside of the box and give you a little bit more kind of simplified idea of what's happening in a golf swing and how you can practice it both as a beginner and also as an advanced player. I think also advanced players tend to get too technical about it, and if you can just strip it back to basics, this video should be able to help everybody. And in part 3, the fun is starting. We're trying to now accelerate the swing that we've learned in the first couple of parts. If you've missed it, I shall leave a link above so that you actually know what I've been talking about before, but there'll also be a quick summary at the beginning. What we're trying to do basically is give you more of a kind of feeling of swinging the golf club. It's strange enough, it's in the title, but there's an awful lot of people out there not swinging the golf club. They're more steering the golf club, pushing the golf club, hitting with the golf club, but they're not really letting it swing. So the first thing I think you've got to do is just get this feeling of the golf club swinging around an axis which you build in your wrists. If you can get that happening, this hinging, rotating of your wrists, you can move the club gently around the wrists and even use the forces of nature in the form of gravity and centrifugal forces to actually accelerate the club head by using this club or shaft as a lever. Obviously, you're not going to get enough energy by just swinging it around your wrists, so you then start to swing your arms around your chest, and this is the reason why we need the rotation of the chest and indirectly of the hips in order to get this rotational movement and move the club away and to the target. And at the same time, in order to get more swing, we're going to be moving the arms up and down. In fact, a very simplified way of thinking about the golf swing, and especially controlling the low point in the golf swing, is thinking of your arms giving the golf club its vertical movement and your body giving your golf club more its horizontal movement away and to the target. And by timing these two axes of movement, you can control the deep point. If it's too much a part of picking and dropping the arms, you're going to be hitting in the ground before the ball. If you're just thinking about turning, then the club isn't going to even reach the floor. But by timing the dropping and releasing of the angles in your wrists with the turning of your body, you should be able to control and get the low point in your swing somewhere across from your lead heel. And that's really where it wants to be. That will allow you to hit irons in the downswing, which you have in the middle of your stance, and to hit the woods and fairway woods from the low point in the swing if you pop them off your left heel. And that's really all there is to it. Well, not really. Last time we were talking about moving your hips and your shoulders so that the shoulders are working with your golf swing. And last time we were also talking about getting the club up on planes so that when you lift the golf club, it's going up parallel to the plane that it had to begin. This would then mean, theoretically, all you have to do in the downswing is drop it and turn, and that's how you're going to get the club back on and through the golf ball. Today, what we're trying to do is synchronize this up and even add a certain amount of energy and acceleration to the turn. But it's all about knowing how and when to accelerate the rotation, to accelerate the golf club. And the majority of you out there, unfortunately, are not doing this correctly, accelerating the club with your arms from the top of the swing instead of waiting till it gets back down onto plane and wants to accelerate itself and just helping it out a little. So how do we do it? Well, it's all about kind of the nature of passive and active movement. There is no way that this golf club is getting off the ground without you lifting it. So as you turn your shoulders down, getting that left armpit pointing more or less at the ball, you're lifting the club up, hinging the wrists and rotating it onto plane. And I want you to do this with a feeling of starting immediately to do all these things at the same time in your backswing. Turning, lifting and hinging. Or lifting, hinging and turning. It really doesn't matter as long as you're getting into the right position, and it could well be that you're all going to have a slightly different feeling and a slightly different system to get to the same position. We're all individuals, and that doesn't mean we're all feeling the same things. I always have a feeling of almost lifting my arms before I turn my body. Others will have the feeling of turning their body before they lift their arm. It's because we're individuals and our bodies are giving us different information, different feelings for the same movement. Once you've actually found out how to do it, you've got to start doing it quite quickly. There's a big misunderstanding in golf that if you do it really slowly, then you're going to do it right, and your intellect will tell you that you can't control it if you're doing it too quickly. But you've got to get this first part of the swing moving at speed, because that's the only way you can get this next part of the swing moving even faster. In truth, the backswing speed is going to be about a third of the downswing speed. And if you want to be swinging the club at 100 miles an hour, it means you're going back at 30. So don't get too slow in the backswing. You want to have the feeling of accelerating the golf club up, lifting your arms, hinging your wrist to the point where if you were to let go of it, the thing would fly back over your shoulder. And it's this energy we're going to use to complete the backswing, because I want you to stop lifting it at around about chest height, getting some speed in it, and then just letting the club's energy pull your arms up and drop them on the other side. On the other side, I'm talking because the arms which are picking the club up in front of you and hinging the wrist will actually have a feeling of kind of moving through a little bit of a curve in the swing, getting a little bit of a loop going, lifting them up, dropping them down, lifting them up, dropping them down. But I want you to have the feeling as if at the top of the swing it reaches its natural conclusion and then falls down on the other side of the swing, as if there were a mini roundabout at the top of your swing, rather than it going up a street and down the same street back to the ball. So I get it up, let it come down. Now at this point, as the club starts to come down, you're going to want to accelerate it. Your intellect is going to say, if I start accelerating here, I'm going to be quicker there. But that's not how the golf swing works. You've got to get and allow the forces of nature in the form of gravity to work on this expanse of arm and push it down. By doing that, it will actually help the wrist to hinge even more and the club to fall back behind you. And this is something that you want to actually encourage, because doing that will give you more room to turn. The more that your club kind of tries to go behind you, the more you can rotate and accelerate the rotation towards the target. And that will actually delay the unhinging of your wrists, which will delay the catapult effect and bring the high speed that you need on the ball, rather than wasting it back here where there is no ball. So as we change direction, we're almost having the feeling of the club dropping and allowing the body to return to its original position. Now I know in the majority of books they're talking about starting with your feet, starting with your hips, starting with your shoulders. In fact, there's a number of books that I've written which have told you to do that. And it's not incorrect. If you look at the biomechanics of the movement, this is what people are doing. But it's the fact, is that conscious? Is it something that they are actually guiding in their swing? And what I found is that for the majority of people, when they get to the top of the swing, they have so much tension in their body that just the feeling of dropping their arms will automatically allow their body to turn back to its original position. At that position, the body will usually stop, because that's where it started. Why would it turn any further if you aren't making it? And that's why you should then, after the feeling of dropping your arms, you should be actively turning, actively pushing around with your legs and your hips, actively turning your shoulders into this deep position with the trail shoulder and high position with the lead shoulder, which will pull and drive your arms around your body, accelerating the swing. But this, especially in your feeling, is happening very late in the downswing, almost after you've reached a point where the club is back at parallel. In the downswing, you have more the feeling of the body just returning to its start position. And if you are lucky enough and are really kind of have a lot of mobility in your hips, you might even get your hips to rotate past that position, past its original position of the downswing. What you can also see is that as I'm dropping my arms, I am dropping my bum as well. I'm almost kind of sitting back into the downswing, allowing not only the trail leg to bend, but the lead knee to come back and the butt to come back. And that will actually mean the feeling of increasing the spine angle in this direction, as if I was going to go down. In truth, what's actually happening is I'm kind of bowing. My whole back will bow as I go into the downswing in order to allow my bum to go back, allow the arms to come down, but at the same time keep the chest away from the ball. I don't want to be kind of going down with my chest into the ball. I want more the feeling of my bum going back, my head coming down, and that way allowing my chest to stay more or less the same distance from the golf ball. Accelerating then with my legs through the golf ball will bring the hips to their end position where they can't turn anymore. It will help the lead shoulder to rotate back and up, accelerating the club down. And as they get cut just before impact, it will actually all stop. Well, the hips will probably stop rotating. That will slow down the shoulder rotation. The shoulder rotation will slow down the arms, and the arms will release the golf club at high speed through the ball. It's actually, strangely enough, the slowing down of the hands which is creating the catapult effect more than the speeding up of the hands at any point in the golf swing. And because your lead shoulder has gone around your body and is moving back up away from the ball, the hands are no longer being driven forward, they have stopped moving forward and are moving up. So the further rotation of your shoulders is not actually applying force towards the target, it's applying force away from the ball, which is actually causing the club to try and reach a straightened point and an extension of the lead arm even faster and even earlier. And you have to allow this to happen. Now, I know this is supposed to be a simple explanation and it didn't sound very simple, but practicing it is. What you want to be doing there is really kind of getting the feeling of dropping and turning. That means you're getting to the top of the swing, letting it change direction by itself and fall. And as it drops, you turn. And you're trying to get this ground contact just after the ball, if you have the ball in your center of your stance, or starting just before the lead heel in your stance. If you can do that, then you're getting more or less the low point where you want it. Always the feeling of getting your arms and hands to drop rather than press, to swing rather than hit, to allow them to move down and around, caused by the rotation of your body rather than pushing them or steering them through the golf ball towards the target. I know this is easier said than done, but it's what you've got to do in order to get the club to swing around yourself rather than trying to guide it out along a load of imaginary lines. Picking it up, dropping it and turning. Picking it up, dropping it and turning. The feeling, but especially with this trail arm, is letting it fall. Don't hold the angles. The feeling with the body is a separate rotational movement all by itself, which is guided and synchronized with the arms, but it's not trying to help the arms down, and it's not trying to pull the arms around before they get down. And this is why for the majority of you, it's really going to be a feeling of drop and turn rather than turn and drop. Turn and drop will tend to take the club away and outside the line so that when you drop your arms, you're coming out to in on the swing. So getting the arms down, the club down, is got to be the main focus of attention when you're doing this. And then picking up the tempo from a gentle swing to a more athletic swing to one where you can really have the feeling that you're really working with your body to actually get the club at the bottom to accelerate through the golf ball. That's what we're looking for, this kind of drop and accelerate. That's really the whole timing of the swing. But if you think about it simply, it's just about dropping the club, and before the club goes into the ground, turning and accelerating it forward and around your body, which will create this catapult effect and give you the speed, the club head speed that you've been looking for all this time. Go on the range and try it. If it works, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. Big thank you to all of the patrons who are supporting me this season. If you'd like to become a patron to the channel, I shall leave a link below. Until the next time, have a good week now. Bye-bye.